Okay. You are live. I'm live. What's going on? Is anybody? Oh, there's already someone in the stream. Good to see. What's going on? Falco XP, 20 minutes, already awake. Right on. Got your coffee going this morning already, do you? Anyways, I'm just going to share this, obviously, to my social media pages. Because, like I continue to mention, the old notifications don't seem to go out to too many people. Either that or people just ignore them one way or the other. But this way, we're going to make sure that at least a few people get it. Okay. Done, and done. Okay. Right on. Let's see. Just going to give it a few minutes here. Hopefully, get a few more people in the chat. Going to be a continuation, more or less, where I left off from yesterday. And yeah, I found some more very interesting information and articles. What's going on, Chaboy? Chaboy. Nice golden grid tie. Yeah, gold and black and gold. Black and gold. Pretty cool. Oh, what the? just waiting to see if the old numbers pick up here. Showing there's two people. So I think I'm going to wait for at least a little bit before I start into what I was going to cover today. Disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect. Oh, what happened? Wow. Oh, let's not. I'm using the StreamYard today, and this is probably my last option to use it before I run out of my time here. Boy, I hope it's not going to pull this on me today. Why is nothing popping up here? Oh, got a couple things happening now. Something's not right with the stream. Seems to be really, really slow today. I saw a Coca-Cola truck on my morning walk, made me think of you. Coca-Cola? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I probably should have shares in the company. But in non-gay way. Right. Right. Wasn't thinking of any such thing. No worries about that. Hey, what's going on, Bernard Hutchins? Howdy. Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Nice to see Nova Scotia in the house today. Good to see that. Corey W., good morning. Good morning, Jake. Okay, starting to get a couple more people. Did you get your notification? Is that how you noticed it? Or did you find it on my social media page? I'm just curious if the people that are showing up now, is it because you've seen it from a YouTube notification, or is it because you've seen me post it on like Facebook, Twitter, or one of my other social media pages? Because I don't know, like I say, it's really weird. I seem to don't get very many notifications sent out for some reason, which is kind of frustrating. Since sign weird crap happening with the internet in the last few weeks. Yeah, well, that's for sure, right? I mean, I know that obviously the internet's definitely being overwhelmed with a lot of people using it now instead of commuting to work. A lot of people are using it for, meetings and interacting with each other, but it seems weird though. Yes, I just had YouTube. So you got yours through the YouTube notification. Okay, so I at least know that it's going out to at least a couple people, right? Still does seem to be quite slow at getting those notifications out. Notification. Oh, I see. Actually, the YouTube side of things is quicker than the. That's weird. On the YouTube side, it's saying there are 3 watching, but I see the chat popping up quicker. On the StreamYards, I'm seeing 11 people right now, but the comments are way behind. Yeah, like I say, this is probably going to be my last stream with the StreamYards. Well, if I can get the cash to put together to pay for at least this month, and hopefully that can get fixed up real quick, and then I'll just be able to continue on. But as it is today, it said I was at 18 hours and something. If I tie it up before I get to the 2 hour mark, I could probably start another one. So I'm going to try to keep in mind to cut it off between an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. No more than an hour and 45 minutes is what I'm going to. So I'd really hope to see a few more people show up so I can get on the ball here. Maybe I might as well just get on the ball anyways, and people can kind of catch up as we go along. It's just a real bummer that it takes so long to get notifications. Hey, good morning, Elizabeth M. What happened to our free market? Yes, I was. Wait, now let me click on these. Yes, I was. Okay, you got the notice. Yeah, free market. Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh, so just okay. So you got the notification as well. That's good. A little using a bit before business shut down. There was still a lot of us from schools. So what's the diff? Yes, a little using it before business. Okay. Anyways, so first and foremost, let me just mention I haven't seen him in the chat as of yet, but I might as well prop it up here. Like I say, get this stuff covered first. So special shout out to Spartan Chuckles. Right on. I got 2 members now. So a few of you that were in the chat yesterday probably noticed that I did get an extra member yesterday, but I didn't find out what the level they had chosen. This is a mid-level is what Spartan Chuckles has chosen. And if Spartan Chuckles, you do show up for the stream, or if you see this stream afterwards, thank you very much for your support and for your channel membership. I really, really do appreciate it. This is your special shout out. And in addition to this special shout out, and as well, you get access to that members only chat. Now, I was talking about this after I would get off the stream, and actually how it goes is it will be a private chat, I guess, that I have to interact with as well. So I'm just, like I say, I'm still kind of learning as we go along because this is brand new to the channel. Channel membership, just something that I was recently offered that I'm eligible for. So I set it up. So like I say, I'll be learning as I go, but basically it's a private chat. It's a members only chat for, I guess, if I just want to do a stream and then have only members only in the chat. So we'll probably set something up like that. Right now, I might wait for a little bit till there's a few more people in the chat, because if I set up a stream and there's only two people there, right? So I'll probably give it a little minute, get a few more people join the memberships, and then we'll do something like that where it is a members only exclusive chat. So just to let you know, and like I say, thank you very much once again for your mid-level support. So you are a Liberty Hunter, and you get to join with G Rich there as the second member of the Canadian Libertarian channel. So like I say, really appreciate that. Now back to the comments. What's your take on Gates, Fauci, globalist vaccines with RFD links? So we're going to get to that. Good morning, Howard G. But first and foremost, before I get to any of that, like I say, I'm kind of going to be leading off from, or taking off today from where I left off yesterday in terms of that whole thing. You remember we were talking about the articles. Now I did find, I went afterwards because I knew there was more to it than just the couple articles that I referenced in terms of the lab here in Winnipeg, right? So I'm going to be covering more and more of that particular issue before I get to the rest. So let's kind of get to that now. Oh, by the way, actually, before I get to that, I do have a video that I'm in the middle of rendering, and I'll be uploading here shortly. It'll probably come out for Saturday or Sunday. Definitely want to check that out, because it's once again, it's dealing with an article out of FEE, and it's regarding to the book written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn called The Gulag Archipelago. Basically, it kind of explains a lot of things that happened under the communist regime in Russia, and how people, ratted on each other, how people treated each other under that kind of authoritarian collectivist regime. And, the similarities to how things are unfolding in the West today are very striking. And I'm sure a few of you are going to really want to see that. And once you've seen the video and heard basically what is referenced within the video and the article, you might want to pick up a copy, and you can get it online in PDF form of the Gulag Archipelago. It's about 2,000 pages long. It's a long book for sure. But like I say, if you're someone that's interested in reading and learn about some of the past events or history in regards to, just how kind of authoritarian states can be, even states that you would see or suggest might be somewhat benign or benevolent in any way. Well, that can quickly turn south and go real sour real quick when you have this suspicious mind and constantly this perception of identity politics and as perceiving everyone as the enemy, right? That's what that does. So like I say, that just watch for that video to come out. You're gonna, and I definitely not only watch it, but please share with others. And then, like I say, pick up a copy of the PDF or the book itself in paper form, the Gulag Archipelago. So back to what we were talking about. So this was the article. Let me get the proper one here, actually. Was it this one right here, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is exactly it. So if you remember yesterday, actually, let me get back to the chat here real quick. I think I seen someone mention my name. Billy Meyer material. Once again, it's acted slower over here. All right. Never mind. Back to, all right. Okay. Back to the articles. So this article, I'm going to share it with y'all. Canada. There we go. Make sure everyone can see that. Yep. Okay. So like I say, remember yesterday when I was talking about the lab in Manitoba and how there was an RCMP investigation in regards to these people from China, this lady and her was it her husband and then some students in regards to, that level 4 lab in Manitoba and the fact that they had traveled to China and, there was this potential suspicion in terms of the activities and the fact that there was an actual RCMP investigation. And that's obviously still unfolding and yet to be determined what the outcome of that will be. But at the very least, this article, like I say, so I found 3 more articles that's going to be referencing that particular story. The stories from yesterday that I was referencing was a little bit early, and they were reported around July or August of 2019. This article here, as you can see, with under the heading Manitoba, Canadian government scientists under investigation, trained staff at level 4 lab in China. So that level 4 lab in China is that Wuhan lab that they're that is, well, Wuhan is the territory where this virus, the outbreak, originated from, right? So still no answers in probe of government scientists expelled from National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. So like I say, this was reported by Karen Pauls, October 3rd, 2019. This story was published October 3rd, 2019. A Canadian government scientist at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg made at least 5 trips to China in 2017-2018, including one to train scientists and technicians at China's newly certified Level 4 lab, which does research with the most deadly pathogens, according to travel documents obtained by CBC News. Zhenggu Kui, who was escorted out of the Winnipeg lab in July amid an RCMP investigation into what's being described by Public Health Agency of Canada as a possible policy breach, was invited to go to the Wuhan National Biosafety Laboratory of the Chinese Academy of Sciences twice a year for 2 years, for up to 2 weeks each time. This will be third-party funded and therefore at no cost to the Public Health Agency of Canada, says the documents, obtained through access to information request. The identity of the third party was redacted. During the September 19th to 30th, 2017 trip, she also met with collaborators in Beijing, the documents say, but their names have also been blacked out. Kui, her husband, Kading Chang, and her students from China were removed on July 5th from Canada's only Level 4 lab, one equipped to work with the most serious and deadly human and animal diseases such as Ebola. Security access for the couple and the Chinese students was revoked, sources who work at the lab previously told CBC News. People working inside the lab told CBC News this week that they had heard the couple may return to work soon. Several of them, who asked not to be identified for fears of retribution, say there have always been questions about Key's trips to China and what information and technology she was sharing with researchers there. It's not right that she's a Canadian government employee providing details of top secret work and know-how to set up a high containment lab for a foreign nation, one employee said. The staff member claims RCMP officers have not yet interviewed key people at the lab because senior management has not made them accessible to police or allowed staff to contact them with relevant information. So, I mean, once again, folks, just listen to that information contained in this one article alone. We're talking about, obviously, the travel from Winnipeg, Canada's only level 4 lab, to a lab in China, right? That is as well a level 4 lab, and it just happens to be in Wuhan, right? The place where this outbreak originated. Now, once again, connecting the dots. That's all we're doing here, folks, right? I'm not suggesting that I know anything more than what's being reported by, like, say, the CBC News, or what was the National Post the other day, or another article that I'll be referencing here in a little bit, which is the Winnipeg Free Press. So I'm not even going out on a limb looking for any other information, although it's not hard to find, but because I'm trying to stay within the rules, right? All I'm doing here, and so if any of the YouTube peeps get this idea of demonetizing this video, all I'm doing here is referencing mainstream, or should I say establishment media, because I'll tell you, the alternative media is becoming very much mainstream these days, and the dinosaur, the legacy media, or the establishment media is definitely going by the wayside, which is why they're constantly having to be propped up by big government. But like I say, all I'm doing here in this video, in this stream, is referencing, CBC articles, right? And National Post, and so establishment media articles. I didn't make any of this stuff up. I'm reading this from the CBC. So, I mean, anyone that would read this information or this article and the information that's contained within it, like I say, connecting the dots. At the very least, it definitely raises some suspicions. And like I was saying yesterday, would at least require further inquiry and investigation. So, like I say, that's just the one article. And then, of course, there was this secondary one. Let me share this one as well. Let me see if actually did it flip over. No, it didn't. I got to switch it myself. Let's go on to this next one. This, too, was out of the CBC, as you can see. Manitoba as well. RCMP investigate possible policy breach at National Microbiology Lab. Public Health Agency asked police to look into administrative matter at Canada's only level 4 virology lab. So once again, Karen Paul's doing the reporting. Manitoba RCMP are investigating a possible policy breach at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. Few details have been made public, but an RCMP spokesperson confirms police received a referral from the Public Health Agency of Canada. Based on information received to date, the RCMP has assessed that there's no threat to public safety at this time. Robert Cyrene said in an email to CBC News on Thursday. In order to maintain the integrity of the investigation process, we have no further comment at this time. The Public Health Agency describes it as a policy breach and administrative matter and says the department has taken steps to resolve it expeditiously. The agency did not clarify when the incident occurred or specify what happened, but said it notified RCMP on May 24, 2019. There's no employee from the National Microbiology Laboratory under arrest or confined to their home, Eric Morissette, the health agency's chief of media relations, said from Ottawa. We can assure Canadians there is no risk to the public and that the work of NML continues in support of heavy health and safety of all Canadians. For privacy reasons, we will not provide further information on this matter. So anyways, just once again, just trying to get this all on record, and then I'm going to go to this third article. So once again, lots of sources that I'm referencing here. I'll go to the next one. And this one. This was quite an extensive article. I didn't get a chance to read this entirely before I started the stream. I was doing a few other things, but like I say, this is all I'm going to be using as a source material in the description of this stream. So anyone wants to, like I say, go through this information, read it for yourself, and maybe point out some things that I have yet to discern or observe, then by all means do so. And if you want to do it, send me a message. I got a few people that send me stuff all the time, anyways, in message form on usually my Facebook page or my Twitter page. But anything that you any information that you believe is pertinent, and like I say, leave the stuff that's from like sources that I won't use anything from sources that's like somebody's blog and stuff. Like I say, credibility, unlike the established media, credibility is what matters most to me. So I'm going to try to, like I say, try to cover this in the most professional manner as I possibly can, considering I'm not a professional journalist or investigative reporter by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a concerned Canadian who seems to have a decent head on his shoulders and can kind of think critically about issues. So that's what I bring to the table. All right. Anyways, so let's get to this. Misery infects virology lab, deadly pathogens, toxic workplace. Winnipeg researchers producing brilliant science, including the Ebola vaccine, but current former staff reveal litany of problems inside walls of high security, high pressure federal facility. This one was reported on back in 09/30/2019. And I guess, well, this article was originally published 27/9/2019. I guess it was, last modified 09/30. So 3 days later. So this was published, like I say, back in, September, I guess? Yeah, September of 2019. Just make sure everyone can see that just fine here. One sec. Okay, yep. Ottawa. On an October 2016 afternoon, Sky Soul ran down the corridors of the National Microbiology Laboratory, screaming as senior managers chased after her. The bacteriologist was removed for her work preparing labs across Canada. It's a little bit bigger. The bacteriologist was renowned for her work preparing labs across Canada for bioterrorism threats and working with the RCMP to secure sites such as the Vancouver Olympics. But after 16 years of working at Canada's highest security lab on Arlington Street in Winnipeg's West End, Soul's mental health began to deteriorate. She told friends senior managers were ostracizing her. Normally known for her style and quick wit, she had been showing up to work in T-shirts and yoga pants, at times smelling of alcohol. 2 months after the breakdown, she died in a coma after stumbling down a flight of stairs at home. The incident, along with plunging morale documented in staff surveys, prompted the director of the Public Health Agency of Canada to reach out to local unions and fly in for an urgent meeting with executives, an almost unprecedented move for federal institutions. The lab, known as NML, is a source of pride for its role in creating the Ebola vaccine. It's one of the few facilities in the world accredited to handle the most deadly pathogens. It officially opened in 1999 to much fanfare after political wrangling had it ultimately placed in Winnipeg. Yet numerous people who worked there had told the Free Press of a workplace rife with intimidation, alcohol abuse, and clashes between officials in Winnipeg and Ottawa, which was partially revealed this summer in an administrative breach that has the RCMP investigating a shipment of dangerous substances to China. So it's once again alluding to that this investigation has to do with something to do with an administrative breach and has to do with investigating a shipment of dangerous substances to China. The sad thing is they do world-class science, but internally they're almost self-destructing. In terms of how they treat their employees, said Todd Panis, national president of the Union of Health and Environment Workers, the collateral damage to get the science is pretty remarkable. So it sounds like a place where, another one of these places where, there's obviously some, with this kind of stuff happening in this facility, there's obviously a potential for, mistakes or accidents to happen. Not even, once again, not even to suggest this is all was used as something to sneak into China as some kind of bioweapon. Once again, even leaving that aside, it definitely seems like an environment that is rife, or at least has the potential of having, bad outcomes or mistakes that will happen. I mean, people here are admitting that, and these are people that are reporting on it. So, like I say, at least leave open to interpretation what could have possibly happened in an environment where you have like people that they're doing things that are outside the normal of what you would expect in a facility such as this. Seoul joined NML in late 2000 and was tasked with preventing and assessing bacterial exposure. After the 9/11 attacks, she helped coordinate bioterrorism responses, from training provincial labs on how to test suspicious packages for anthrax to deploying the lab's mobile diagnostic truck to high-profile gatherings. Friends describe her as someone who was always on the ball. Her Charleswood home had a full garden, trendy furniture, and home-cooked food for unexpected visitors. When she found an ornate paper lamp too pricey, she figured out how to make it herself. In 2010, Seoul supervisor Steve Jones left the lab, prompting an organizational shuffle in which the bacteria testing division needed a leader, and there were few candidates for the role. The lab eventually chose a biologist who does not possess a PhD. 9 of the 11 division heads at the lab are doctorates. The other one leads the division that does not undertake research. Those in the industry said this is uncommon, though PHAC disputes this and noted that the division's head's own supervisor had a PhD. In any case, Seoul's colleagues say both her new manager and the director took a strict approach to the rules in her division, in line with the expectations of their own superiors. I found them to be bullies. They were like high school mean girls, said Amanda Everton, who worked at Seoul's division until 2014. PHAC would not make anyone available for an interview unless it could screen the questions. Previously, the lab operated on loose shift schedules so long as the work was being done. Now, Seoul would arrive from lunch 5 minutes late, and both managers would be waiting for her at the front door. The increased scrutiny of Seoul's work, as she chafed at being assigned tasks alongside University of Manitoba students, she was taken off training of first responders and instead given menial tasks such as monitoring kits that were sent to provincial labs to verify their testing. Friends and colleagues say she was dealing with personal issues, from a difficult separation with her husband, with whom she had a child, possibly postmortem. Anyways, I'm not sure where this is going. Seems like a whole lot of personal story here. Like I say, this is a very extensive article. Okay. Everett worked in several divisions of the lab, and each had fantastic scientists, but the bacteriology section was a train wreck. She left a stable government job with a pension for night nursing shifts down the street from the facility in the emergency room of health sciences. Seoul's division was also rattled by the July 2015 discovery of a tuberculosis sample that sat untouched for a year under a tool bench. The incident didn't become public until the Free Press reported it 4 months ago. So, probably not normal protocol, right? By the time it was discovered, the petri dish had cracked open, although the pathogen had dried out. So, right? So fortunately, according to this, the pathogen had dried out, so sparing the risk of an outbreak in Winnipeg. People working at the division felt managers weren't punished for failing to uphold safety inspection protocols. Things took a turn after a spring 2016 trip to Ottawa to coordinate national threat responses. The visiting team from the lab went for dinner with Mounties, some of whom Seoul had worked with for years. She made an off-color joke at the dinner. Numerous colleagues recount Seoul's manager later reprimanded her about it in front of her entire team. Colleagues recall Seoul looked rough that summer, either acting robotically or snapping at them. A few believe she was in touch with the on-site nurse. Friends said she was on antidepressants and seeing a counselor. People in the lab said she appeared drunk on more than one occasion, and one instance spinning around in an office chair, apparently mistaking the lab for her own home. One saw her carrying blue capsules used to store ethanol away from work areas, prompting suspicion she was drinking high alcohol substances on the premises. Okay. 2 months later, she fell down the flight of stairs and died in a coma. Anyways, like I say, this is a really, as you can see, look at this, folks. I'm probably going to have to read this whole thing because, yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, it'd probably take me, look at this. Holy crap. So, yeah, I'm going to have to do a little bit more reading on that article. But once again, already getting some pretty interesting facts coming out of this article alone. So, once again, 3 more articles to add to the 2 that I already uploaded with my stream from yesterday that, once again, kind of raises some concerns and some questions in regard to this laboratory in Vancouver. And if there is at all, well, I mean, we know there's definitely a relationship between this laboratory in Winnipeg and Wuhan, because one of the person or multiple people at that laboratory in Winnipeg had traveled to China on a fairly regular basis. So there, and it's not just to China. China's a fairly big country, it's on its own, but to that Wuhan province, or to Wuhan, I should say, and to that level 4 laboratory in Wuhan. And once again, let's keep in mind that this current outbreak, this COVID-19, originated based on what the media is reporting on in Wuhan. So, like I say, is this all coincidence? I suppose anything is possible, but it's also very much possible that this isn't just a coincidence, and there are some things that are very concerning and definitely demand further investigation. Anyways, back to the chat. Let's see what everyone's got to say in regards to how this is unfolding so far. Is piquing your curiosity? I know it is me. From the Billy Meyer material, you will be first to sign up for the, okay. What's your take on the new, here, let me take this off the screen here. There we go. What's your take on the newly proposed laws on curtailing so-called misleading Wuhan virus info and shutting down free speech by the shill Dominic? Yeah, well, that's obviously my problem, right? Yeah, I hear you there, Bernard. That's my issue, is I want to be able to cover this, right? This is why I'm doing these streams every day, is because I want to, just like everyone else, because it's having such a dramatic effect on our personal, social, and economic lives, so profound to the point where they're even suggesting that this could be not just the longest protracted period in terms of economic downfalls, because nobody really knows at this point in time, but the most severe economic downfall. We're talking, they're saying, far worse than the financial crisis. And I mean, already just the kind of debts and deficits are being incurred, and that unlimited spending that Trudeau's been ramped up, and all these authoritarian measures, all these people are now, having their personal lives not just impeded and interfered with, but now being punished and penalized for what? Taking a dog out for a walk. I mean, this is having, like I say, a profound effect. And now you have people that are deemed essential or non-essential. You got the pay discrepancies. You got there's just so much that's taken place. And to know that this kind of information is out there and freely available, right? Anyone can type into Google and find these articles. Anyone can, it's readily available information. So why, right? Why is it that they're hell-bent? And that's the thing, YouTube, Google, Twitter, even Facebook now, and Facebook's usually much, much better than most. I tell you, a lot of people don't like Facebook, but out of all the social media platforms, I find Facebook doesn't mess with people nearly as much as some of the other ones. But even Facebook come out and basically saying that now they're going to try to, now they're basically just going to offer you the information more or less like what YouTube's doing. So they're not going to prevent you from uploading the information, but they're going to destroy your incentive to do so, right? So I'm still allowed to say what I got to say, but nobody's going to be allowed to see it. They're going to suppress my content. So, very, very few people see it. It's definitely not going to get promoted. It, has the potential of being demonetized, which obviously incentivizes me to button up or limit what I'm allowed to say. But like I've said to many of you folks before and in the past, is when it comes to this is just too important for me to just sit on the sidelines and just let all this information pass without covering it. So I'm going to cover it and deal with the consequences, the ramifications. But like I say, I'm going to do it in a manner that if they want to come after me or demonetize my channel or do anything negative towards any of my social media pages, well, they better at least, like I say, recognize that I'll be more than willing to challenge them against it. Although I know they make that even profoundly difficult, even just to appeal any of the decisions they make. But at the end of the day, like I say, I will do whatever I can to hold these people responsible if they diminish or limit my ability to spread the kind of information that I think is very important for people to see and hear. So I hope, like I say, I hope the folks at YouTube or someone is paying attention to this stuff, because you're not gonna keep people like myself silenced and prevent me from speaking out. I'm speaking out, and like I say, I'm not putting forth anything. I'm not offering my own opinions. I'm basing everything that I'm covering here on information that's readily available from those sources that normally, like YouTube and all them, would say, well, you got to use your trust. They would all tell me, I suppose, that I should trust the CBC, Canada's national broadcaster, right? So I'm using the sources that they would basically align with. So once again, I don't want to have anything that happens to my channel or the suppression of my content by sheer fact that I'm covering things that the established media, because if the established media can talk about this stuff, well, so can I, right? That's my thoughts on that one, Bernard. Dr. Jordan Peterson mentioned the Gulag info many, many times before he got sick. Yeah, like I say, I haven't read the entire book. It's quite long. And like, for me to have that amount of time to just sit now, my wife was saying, like, when I go to bed, like, that's usually time. Maybe I'll start doing it maybe just for a half hour, an hour every night before I go to bed, just kind of flipping through it and stuff. Staying on, once I get in bed, usually I just it doesn't take too long, but I definitely want to read that book. But yeah, it's something that like I say, it's definitely going to pique your curiosity, because just the information that I was referencing in the article and the video that when I uploaded it was, like I say, it's just a lot of similarities, folks. A lot of similarities. Morning Wizard Online. Individual plus sovereignty equals freedoms. You got it, buddy. You got it. Where's Jordan? Any facts, proof? Yeah, I'm not sure. Actually, yeah, I haven't heard from Jordan Peterson in a long time, right? I think he wasn't doing well. And I know his wife, I think she had cancer again or something. And so they're dealing with their own personal issues. And then Jordan Peterson had his own, I think he had some kind of a breakdown of sorts or something. So, I'm leave those people to deal with their own personal situation. Obviously, I wish them the best. What's going on? Ebatlis, IB Atlas. They just dream up more diversity topics in an attempt to cover up previous exposure. The truth is they are scared, hiding behind. Well, I mean, like I say, the fact that they don't want people to talk about, or the fact that, like, why isn't the CBC? I mean, these people at the CBC, especially this, what's her name again? This Karen Paul's, like, Karen, are you doing any more investigating? Like, are you doing any more follow-ups? Because this is a very interesting story that you started out with here. And like I say, we'd like to get some kind of follow-up information or follow-up reporting. I mean, it's not like CBC doesn't have the budget for it, right? Over $1 billion per year. Yeah, they've got the budget to put some on-the-ground investigative reporters and some resources on there to try to figure that stuff out. But like I say, I'm not seeing nothing. Just like, which really makes you question these things. It was just like after the financial crisis, and the fact that CBC and some of our media reported on the fact that all the banks in Canada were bailed out. Some of them, 3 of them were bailed out to the tune of 1.5 times what the entire bank's portfolio was worth, right? So massive bailouts. And it was reported on that one time, but listen to the way the media talks about it when they talk about the financial crisis, and if they compare it to the U.S., oh, the U.S., they went through their subprime housing, all this shit, and their banks, and they, what was it? Lehman Brothers had to collapse, but Canada, we managed to scale it fine. Like, we didn't have to, do anything. But meanwhile, it's like, you were the ones that reported on the fact that all the banks, were bailed out. So that, and then they never talked about it again. They reported on it after it happened. And that was back in 2012 when this happened. When they did the reporting, I think was a little bit later than the 2012. But 2012 was when all the bailout for the Canadian banks actually started taking place. Or was it 2012? Like I say, all that information is in my past videos. Just type in bank bailouts. Or if you go to my Facebook page, I have it pinned in my Next Gen News and Views Facebook page. And you can read all the information there. But yeah, they reported on it one time and then never spoken about it again. And not only they don't really speak about it, but they kind of portray or pretend as if that was never reported on. That it's like they forgot that it even happened, which to me, it's like, it just once again, it piques my curiosity is why? What? Surely you must remember. I mean, I don't forget it, right? And if they're the ones that actually reported on it, I mean, how does, all of Canada's big banks being bailed out, right? Bailed out to the tune of $114 billion at the time. How does that not stick in your mind, right? Right? Especially when you're talking about the crash that's currently under. How can you not be talking about that? Or the fact that the banks today and mortgage rates and people, need to be propped up because they can't pay their mortgages or deferring pay. How come none of this stuff is being brought up, even just to say, hey, well, the Canadian taxpayers were forced to bail you out, bankster, so you should at the very least. How come there's not even that kind of discussion taking place, right? Although me personally, I want to see the housing market in this country fall, because it's the valuations of houses in Canada, and especially in the big urban centers, it's completely outstripped from people's wages. So it's in bubble territory. It needs a massive correction for sure. So sorry for some of the old people that are well established and got these homes that are like your proverbial gold mine. I'm hoping your gold mine just ceases to exist, and it can happen like that. Right now might not, because they're still being propped up with all these government bailouts and giving everybody the ability to once again kick that can down the road. But like I say, at some point in time, even the government's not going to be able to keep propping you up forever. So like I say, a lot would be a wise idea to start preparing for that eventual time, because just like now, or just like most times, people like me, I'm going to be proven right eventually. It's just a matter of when, because they, like I say, they have all the tools, they have the mouthpieces in the media to keep putting off or kicking that can down the road. But inevitability is going to come at some point in time, and people like myself are going to be proven correct. And that's where the credibility will really begin to kick in, because like I say, I've been telling and warning people about this stuff for a long time. So it's not my first rodeo, right? Okay, back to the chat. Yes, it is crazy. 29,000 to 60,000 in USA died from regular flu between 2018 and 2019. Well, that's the problem. I recognize that as well. Is basically now you could have been like, you could have had like, you could have been a smoker for 30, 40 years, be massively overweight, like massively obese, have a lot of conditions that, like put you in a real precarious spot. Basically, anything would almost take you out. But yeah, if you catch a virus or the COVID and you die, then they're attributing it to the virus, which obviously, right, might be a contributing factor, but is it the virus all on its own? Once again, that's open to interpretation. And the way they are recording it, yes, maybe could it possibly be to artificially inflate the numbers? Once again, I don't know. I don't know the reasoning behind some of these things. I'm just reporting on the things that, and just like you're alluding to, is that has already been reported on by other people as well. If you didn't test COVID-19 before death, you do not get lumped in with COVID-19 deaths. Okay. Communist China, communist run, World Health Organization, communist run, UN and communist China infiltrated Western governments. Corey W. What's going on? Oh, good morning, everyone. And by the way, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Although I got to stop bringing that up, because it seems like the more I say to like and subscribe, the less I get. That's what happens in this Orwellian world. I should be saying, don't nobody like it. Matter of fact, stop subscribing. It's like, and then all of a sudden the subscribes will go up. I don't know. Like I said, this Orwellian world is going to take a little while to get accustomed to. Matter of fact, I'll never get accustomed to it. I was telling everyone to look into this in January when it happened. I also read that Google Maps altered the distance of the laboratory, so it appeared it was actually further away than it was. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one there, Matt, but I mean, like I say, at this point in time, not too much is going to surprise me. Okay, so you guys are talking amongst each other's suspicions, more like smoking bullet. Like I say, the evidence seems to be piling up. Looking around Health Canada site, and they have 24 hours to give Canadian COVID-19 stats to the WHO. Okay. Anyone know if there's any truth in the news that hospitals are being paid over $10,000 to treat kids? I haven't heard anything like that. Housing markets in BC and Toronto are a washing machine for many, many CCP nefarious monies. They need to crash. Yeah, well, it's not just that. It's That's the thing. There's other people other than people from foreign countries with some money that are making it like bandits and using it for money laundering and all that stuff. Like I say, there's also a demographic issue there, but I won't even get into that part of it today. Hey, B, how bad do you think this communist infiltration? How far down the rabbit hole are we going, in your opinion? Well, once again, I can't speculate. I have no idea, but I will say, hey, what's going on, Rika? Good morning. I will say, I'm not privy to that information. I just know, like I say, based on how things are unfolding and based on past precedent, the history, and how humans seem to constantly repeat mistakes over and over again, I'm definitely, obviously, very concerned with paying attention to how things have been unfolding, especially and in particular since the financial crisis. The fact that we're basically living on almost not fully, but a very, very fake economy. The economies are basically built on money printing now, right? Economic growth now is not measured properly. So many things have been stripped out of the CPI, like the measure for core inflation and stuff. It's just there's so many things that have changed, which makes it almost impossible, which that alone makes you think, why are these central planners, those in the media, those in academia, why are they making everything not just so profoundly difficult to understand, but like literally contradictions on an ongoing basis? To me, it's like some kind of mental or psychological warfare, right? To get people so and like I say, once again, referencing the Gulag Archipelago and how that Solzhenitsyn referenced that, and listen to like other people like Jordan Peterson and a few others that I've listened to talk about and reference that book. It's a lot of similarities, folks. Or like I say, even in under the Nazi regime, right? Another authoritarian collectivist regime, very much socialist, very much, like I say, very much into that central planning, right? Completely micromanaging, dictating, control like everyone's social and economic lives. So the similarities and the precedent and the history, they're all there. And the same kind of things that are unfolding in the West today are basically the same kind of things that unfolded along roughly, not the exact same timeline, but kind of along same chronological order as it did in these very authoritarian collectivist regimes. And that's the thing, when people don't think about this, it's like, it's not like the German people or the Russian people or the Chinese people, during the rise of Mao or Stalin or Hitler or any of these dipshits. It's not like these people were different. Like everyone likes to think, oh, that can't happen here. Like why? Canada is filled with people that came from those former fucking countries, right? They all understand, which is why a lot of these people from the Eastern Bloc, they understand way more than a lot of Canadians. They understand. That's the thing. You talk to people that came from Russia and they're like, oh yeah, I know all about that. Yeah, I heard all the stories from my parents, my grandparents. What it is the West, I don't know, it's such a new experience to them. And I guess because Western thought leaders in this country have done a much, much better job, as far as I'm concerned, they seem to be much more competent in their ability to manipulate the minds of the Canadian people or the American people so well to keep them dulled down and conformed. I guess what it is, maybe the people that want to bring this kind of authoritarianism or collective authoritarianism to North America, they realize, oh, this is how we failed. This is how we failed in Germany. This is how they failed in communist China. This is how they failed in communist Russia. Well, we have to do things a little different. We got to tweak the narrative. We got to do so once again, how would I know? I don't know, but I definitely know that there are things that are unfolding, and particularly since the financial crisis, that definitely leads me to believe that the potential for us all in the future is looking quite bleak. Just because right now, like I say, there were people that were alive in Germany prior to the rise of Hitler. There were people alive in Russia prior to the rise of Stalin or Lenin that were like, well, that's bad, but things aren't. It won't get too bad. We're still okay. Like the kulaks in Ukraine, let's say, they probably thought for a while, right before all 5 million of them were basically wiped off from their lands and their ability to be farmers and provide for themselves and their communities, right? And taking over. A lot of these people prior to that, they would have said, yeah, sure, that guy might be a bit of a dick, right? And he's a little bit of an asshole, but it could never get that bad. But yet it did. Like I say, this constant pretense that it just can't happen here. Well, once it does, at that point in time, it's way too late to say, oh, we should start thinking about doing something now. The time to start thinking about doing something was quite a long time ago. But like I say, every day I'm trying to entice more and more of my fellow Canadians, or more anyone that's willing to listen to me, that we got to start taking these things serious. It's like people think I don't know. I guess some people think, what, I just do this for fucking entertainment? It's not. I could fucking do a million other things that would be way more entertaining and actually way more popular. There are a ton of things that I actually do that made me very popular in my life. You know, in my sport venues and activities, my leisure activities, my hobbies, right? Or even talk about my kind of like the work environments that I worked. I could do a lot of things, cover a lot of things that would be much more appealing, and a lot more people want to listen to me. The reason why I feel so compelled to do what I do, and I have done for so long, is because I have seen the writing on the wall, and I've experienced, and I said this in my video too, I've experienced the heavy hand of government. The difference is what I come to realize is, the reason why a lot of people in Canada don't realize just how authoritarian these governments can be in our countries is because they've never challenged their authority or stepped out the bounds of what they're allowed to do, right? Me, because I'm a little bit rebellious and I'm not quite as conformist as most Canadians, I've challenged, right, that kind of authoritarianism. And then I realized, and like I say, pretty good guy for the most of my life. Not saying I'm perfect, right? I've made mistakes in my life, but comparing myself to most of the people I've ever known in my whole life, pretty damn good guy. So if you can get to the point where people like myself can be turned into basically criminals, have their entire livelihoods destroyed, and most of my peers don't even seem to care or want to stand up in my defense, like that alone was like, wow. And like when I was going through the whole court system and seeing how the mindless order followers, where they're just empty, vacuous faces. Like, is there a person behind those eyes? Or the administrators, or the people, like I say, that are part of the court system, the lawyers, the crown. I realized just, holy shit, it's like entrenched. It's institutionalized corruption, but because they live it every day, they don't even recognize just how corrupt they are. Because they live in the belly of the beast, to them, that is just what it is to live every day. And I guess people can become very accustomed to living under those kind of environments. And I mean, just like Stockholm syndrome, right? This is the problem. And we all understand the history of how this stuff is played out. Like even what's referenced in that video, I shouldn't be using up too much, giving you too many lead ups into what my video release is going to be. But they talk about the Milgram experiments, right? The prison experiments. And then the other, which is the other experiment when they were testing to see if they could get people to zap someone in another room by giving them, an electrical charge that went up to the point where they might be killing them. But because someone in a white lab coat was telling them to do so, people thought, oh, well, they're an authority, they must know what they're doing. So they did it, right? Just like I say, the people in communist Russia or China or the Nazi, under the Nazi regime, the people that the mindless order followers, right? Just following orders, I've seen them. I've seen them with my own eyes. I've experienced that kind of authoritarianism and that kind of collectivism with firsthand experience, where me as the individual and my rights as the individual, or the facts pertinent to the case that I had, it was all ignored. It was all just about collective punishment, or what if. And like I say, once I seen that happen, I mean, I could have went back even after my punishment. I could have went back to just being me. But the reason why I could never go back again after that happened was because if it can happen to me, someone like myself that tried to live a really decent moral life my whole life, even come from some pretty good stock in terms of some family and some people that helped raise me. If that shit can happen to me in this country, in this modern era, then I knew that's like, I have to. And because I have sons, and because there's a future that I have to concern myself with, because I have, children that will have their kid. To me, it's like, I will not rest my fucking head. Now that I know how things have been and how bad things, they can get even worse than they are now, I'm going to, until the day I die, I'm going to keep doing this, or at least until the point where people start to come around and realize I'll be that nagging voice in your head for the rest of your goddamn life, until people finally wake up to the kind of authoritarianism that's just laying under the cover, under the surface. The only reason why you don't notice it, or most Canadians don't notice it, is because they don't step outside the bounds of what they're allowed to say or do. The minute they do, and if they're caught, that's the other thing. Or the people that do, if you haven't been caught, okay, whatever, you got away with it so far. Wait till you get caught. Or wait till you show them that you're not willing to play ball and just conform to whatever they say. Challenge their authority, even just the slightest, and you'll find out real quick how their supposed benevolence and they're just there to protect society. You'll find out just how vicious they are, right? You'll see the fangs start to grow. No, I'm kind of getting a little bit exaggerated there, but I'm telling you, you'll find out the minute you step outside the bounds of what you're allowed to do. Anyways, yeah, kind of a bit of a rant there, but that's why I do what I do, folks. What's going on, Kaz? Because I know what's happened. Like I say, I've suffered under the heavy hand. So, morning, CL and Patriots. Good morning. Yeah. Oh, I checked that. Actually, I just shared that to my Next Gen News and Views Facebook page, and I'll probably share it with the rest. Yeah. Well, this one was with Stefan Molyneux interviewing this Dr. Shiva, and this Dr. Shiva called out some of the people in his medical field, and he's got a PhD and all. He said, I'll take on anyone. He's kind of sound a little bit like me. He's like, yeah, I'll take on anybody. If you say I'm saying things that are wrong, or then bring it on. Let's have a conversation, because he knows what he's talking about, right? What's going on? ATF, just scrolling back up here a little bit because I know I missed a bunch of the comments. It was set loose during the war games. It's all a narrative. Every country is involved. I don't think I'd want to get into. Let's talk about. Okay. Don't know much about this thing here. Like I say, I think I started to look into it. Just didn't seem all that interesting. But I mean, once again, doesn't mean that it might not be interesting at some point in time going forward. But say right now, I'm just following with the evidence as it leads, and without getting too crazy into things, right? Smartphones are already tracking people. Yeah, that's true. Yes, some countries. Well, I mean, Apple and Google have both said that they are going to allow tracking for. But apparently, listen, it's a thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm just not willing to give up. Like I say, I understand how these things might be helpful, but I'm just not willing to give up to any corporation or any government, because I know how cozy the relationships have become between big government and big corporations. That's the problem. As much as I would like to trust Google or Apple or Android, like all these, or companies like Samsung or all these, I would love to be able to, but like I say, how many times do we get stung with these breaking reports or revelations from people like Snowden or others, where big corporations and big government are working hand in hand and invading our privacy, denying our privacy, finding some loopholes to skirt or avoid privacy legislation, which once again, legislation, just shit written on paper. It's not going to stop bad people from doing bad things. But anyways, yeah. So like I say, it's a concern. And there should be people creating apps right now, right? That's the problem with all these people that go into tech. They want to go the big, where the big money's at, which means they're going to all gravitate to these big, mega conglomerate corporations such as Google. Smaller startups is what we need. More entrepreneurs coming out with apps and technology and software that are not just encrypting, using end-to-end encryption, but yes, protecting us in terms of like the ability not to be tracked, right? Location tracking and all. Making sure our mics can't be automatically turned on. There should be, but that's the thing, because we don't function under a free market environment where that kind of stuff would be incentivized. Now it's like I say, it's people want to come out of the education systems, and the education basically is teaching them to go out of the education system and either going straight into one of these mega corporations or into big government. So not much in terms of just entrepreneurship. And that's the thing with the banks. Like, are they going to give loans to entrepreneurs, or are they going to rather give out loans to the big corporate? There's just so much vested interest and conflicts of interest out there that, yeah, I just have a real difficult time these days trusting any of these big corporations. And I definitely don't trust big government. Posting this is crazy. Got to go to work. Right on. Posting this is crazy? What do you mean? Anyways, have a good day at work. Stay safe out there, Brennan Clarahan. I appreciate you joining the stream. If you haven't left already, would you hit the thumbs up like you did right there? Hit the like and subscribe. Thanks, appreciate that. But posting this, well, listen, like I say, I've had lots of people call me crazy, you're too brave to that, or lots of things. Why? Because I do what most people are unwilling to do. That's why. And I get it. I get it. I get it. But you know what? I'm one of those people that was born with this natural tendency to try to think outside the box, to not stick to conformity. There's a reason why, like I say, I broke out of the religious indoctrination that heavily influenced my life very early on. So there's a reason why I understand that statism is a religion. I have that a capacity within me to be able to do that. And like I say, I seem to be pretty brave and bold and courageous to do these things. So because I recognize that I have these inherent tools or abilities, I just feel compelled that I got to do so. So I don't really call it crazy. I just say somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. And there's very few people that are willing to step up the plate, more or less is what you're alluding to. I am. So because I am, well, I feel compelled to do so. Oh, sorry. Here, this you guys talking amongst each other. Hey, what's going on? Peter Andrews. Hello from Surrey, BC. Got my notification from YouTube. I get right on. I'm glad to hear that, because I'm really, like I say, I want to make sure people are getting their notifications, all of them through YouTube. Okay, good to know. Love the show, Bennett. Thanks. All right on. Is that a couple beer? Right on. Cool. Have a cold one for me. I haven't had a cold one in quite a while, actually. I kind of gave up on the drinking there for a while, and I might just keep it going. A lot of it's just because I'm flat broke all the time. But anyways. Okay. TB is just hanging out under the sink. Oh yeah. Sorry. So actually I gotta get going, moving on here, because I'm quite far back in the chat if they're still talking about that. Good morning, Tommy Gunn. Morning, folks. Okay, I see that one. What's this one? IMCL also. That's why he'd remember me. IMCL also. That's why he remembered me. Man, trust nothing you hear and half what you say. Well, like I say, that you definitely these days, you definitely don't want to take everything at face value, right? Not question them. Letting them eat cake. We're running out of cake. When the cake is gone, or the cafe is gone, guess what's going to hit the fan? Or when the cake's gone. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, yeah, I seen that earlier. Morning, Rika. Yeah, well, yeah, I've known this too. The banks bundle high risk mortgages in with blue chip. Yeah, I know the subprime mortgages, and it's happening in Canada too. I reported on, like I say, I've reported on all this stuff in the past. It was Home Capital in Canada that was bundling a bunch of second rate, third rate, like basically, yeah, like almost junk type status, like some of those subprime. But what they call it, it's funny actually, because they when they reported on it at the time, like I say, if you search through my past videos, go to my YouTube channel, go into the little search window and type in like keywords, because I always make sure to tag all my videos to make sure that you can reference them just based on some keywords. But yeah, but rather than them call them subprime, it was something, I can't remember the exact terminology or the word they used, but it was basically, didn't say below prime, but it was, if you used a synonym, if I opened a thesaurus right now and was look through the synonyms, you would see it was one of the words basically that meant the same thing, subprime, but they used a new word. Why? Because they knew anyone reading that article be like, oh, subprime? You mean there's subprime in Canada too? Uh-oh, right? So they wanted to keep that on the low key. Like I say, I pay astute attention, and when the media is reporting on things, they do it in a manner where it's almost like they got a lawyer standing on the shoulder. Yeah, that'll meet muster. That'll barely pass, like the policy restrictions that kind of contains you, right? But like I say, still a whole lot of manipulation and I would say misinformation or misdirection in terms of the information that they present, right? So that you're thinking, that's why they'll deliver you the news, but then they want to make sure immediately tell you how they want you to perceive that news. That's the thing to me is like, why are you so concerned? Just report on the news. You should not be so overly concerned with trying to tell people what to think, right? How to think, I'm all for how to think, but what to think, not a fan of that at all. But yeah, they definitely, in Canada, there's definitely subprime mortgage that's bundled in with a lot of these things. And like eventually at some point in time, that's going to come crashing down as well, right? Okay, so I'm just looking up here, and then I'm going to get back to because, like I said, hey, Real Canadian, haven't seen you. Real Canadian, Dr. Shiv is waking the masses. Yeah, I watched that like I say, that one with him and Stephen Molyneux, and yeah, very interesting indeed. Actually, Real Canadian, if you haven't already, hit the like button, and if you don't mind, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share the stream with anyone to help me get this information out there. No crickets, and usually not too many crickets with me. Anyways, okay, so back where are we at here? An hour and 5. Like I said, I'm going to try to tie this stream up. So now that we've got all those parts done, let me get to what else we were going to cover. Oh, yeah, there was one more article. No, I think I covered that. University severs ties with two. Yeah, okay, I covered that one. Oh, okay, so there was this one more. Let me get this one here too. It's the U.S. So whether the Canadian media is busy trying to figure this stuff out, well, at least some people in the U.S. are trying to. So we may very well get the answers to our questions eventually. Just might take a little time. So as you can see, this is a headline article out of the National Post. The U.S. is trying to find out if the coronavirus came from a Wuhan lab. Trump on lab claims. We are doing a very thorough examination of this horrible situation that happened. So, like I say, hopefully Trump has got lots of peeps on the ground trying to investigate this stuff. This was reported by, it's a Reuters. So, like I was saying the other day, folks, in case you're new to the channel or the stream, or you just haven't watched me in the past, is you see how that says Reuters? A lot of times you'll get it. It's Reuters because they're the big investigative journalist conglomerate that does investigative and news reporting from all over the world. And then you get the Associated Press, or in Canada they call it the Canadian Press. When you see stuff such as this, even though the National Post is reporting on it as well, basically I could have done the same thing and just attributed that who was the original reporter, so to make sure that they're I'm giving them their due. But all they do in all this National Post, all they're doing is same if CBC was reporting the same thing, is they just copy and paste the text from the original article from whatever, like Reuters, and they put it on their own publications, right? So this news, it could be spread around through multiple media sources, and they're just, like I say, they're just repeating, copy and pasting what has been come out of the actual news organization. Then what happens though is then they'll report on what the actual news says, but then of course they offer their own commentary or opinion in regard to it. So anyways, just to help clarify some of that stuff up. Actually, let me close up. There's just too many ads that pop up, and not that I get it. Everyone's got to get paid here. I totally get that. My problem is I don't like to see ads when I'm doing the streaming, just in case it interferes with my monetization. Although it is an ad by Google, so hopefully Google or YouTube's not going to punish me for showing ads that they provide. But anyways, so this was Steve Holland and David Brunningston. Okay, so U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday his government is trying to determine whether the coronavirus emanated from a lab in Wuhan, China. And Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said Beijing needs to come clean on what they know. The source of the virus remains a mystery. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said on Tuesday that U.S. intelligence indicates that the coronavirus likely occurred naturally as opposed to being created in a laboratory in China. But there is no certainty either way. Fox News reported on Wednesday that the virus originated in a Wuhan laboratory, not as a bioweapon, but as part of China's effort to demonstrate that its efforts to identify and combat viruses are equal to or greater than the capabilities of the United States. So once again, according to Fox News, it's not necessarily touted as a bioweapon, but that it may very well be some like accident or an incident that happened. And who knows, who knows if it was something that was brought from Canada, from that laboratory in Canada, who would even know? And it all ended up there, and maybe there was something that, like I say, an accident or some incident that happened, and that, accidents do happen, right? Things do happen that are outside of people's control, and that may very well have something to do with it too. So, like I say, I'm definitely one of those people that's curious to know how this is going to unfold, and if we ever do finally get to the bottom of this information. This report and others have suggested that the Wuhan lab, where virology experiments take place and lax safety standards there, led to someone getting infected and appearing at a nearby wet market where the virus began to spread. At a White House news conference, Trump was asked about the reports of the virus escaping from the Wuhan lab, and he said he was aware of them. We are doing a very thorough examination of this horrible situation that happened, he said. Asked if he had raised the subject in his conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping, Trump said, I don't want to discuss what I talked to him about the laboratory. I just don't want to discuss. It's inappropriate right now. China's foreign ministry said on Thursday the World Health Organization has said there is no evidence that the coronavirus that has infected more than 2 million people globally was made in a lab. Ministry spokesman Zhao Lijian made the remarks in response to a question about accusations the coronavirus originated in a lab in the central Chinese city of Wuhan, where the epidemic first emerged in late 2019. So anyways, like I would say, not like Trump would ever watch my video, probably not, right? But if anyone, got anyone like a little bird to chirp in his ear, or anyone that's doing these investigations, I would say just reference some of those articles from CBC or the National Post or the Winnipeg Free Press, and get to work on doing some of that investigation. Since it seems like not many people in Canada, or at least from what I know or the information I'm privy to, I'm not hearing any subsequent reports on it, but somebody should be doing some follow-up investigation at the very least. That would be my recommendation. But hey, once again, who am I? Right? Who am I? Who the hell do you think you are, Bennett? Not much. Not nobody, really, to be honest with you. Just someone. Oh, yeah. And then I'll deal with this one, too. Oh, no, wrong one. This one right here. Oh, yeah, more freaking ads. Get. Okay, so this one's on the National Post. Liberal government's almost humiliating posture towards China, a missed opportunity, former top diplomat. Right now, the facts argue for the case that China was delinquent on COVID-19, that it wasn't transparent enough. That's not a conspiracy theory. So even, like I say, even put all the other information aside in regards to the laboratories or any potential situation that may have happened or occurred in either or, there's just the sheer fact that based on information that we do know that is readily available, that some failures definitely have taken place. This was reported by Jesse Snyder, April 16, 2020. Ottawa, two former diplomats are warning that the Liberal government's recent silence on China could reinforce the country's increasingly belligerent actions on the world stage, amid concerns Chinese officials actively misled the World Health Organization during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. David Mulroney, who served as Canadian ambassador to China in Beijing between 2009 and 2012, said Ottawa's almost humiliating posture towards China in recent weeks was a missed opportunity to acknowledge the country's shortcomings during the viral outbreak. China has drawn criticism for providing potentially faulty information to the World Health Organization, particularly in the first weeks of the spread of COVID-19, which in turn left world leaders largely ill-prepared for the virus. Gary St. Jacques, who served as Canada's envoy to China from 2012 to 2016, said leaders in Canada and elsewhere need to call for a full investigation of the World Health Organization after it uncritically relayed information from Beijing observers claim could be inaccurate. So once again, there's people that should be held culpable and accountable so far, just in the fact that, yes, like this knowledge, there was some knowledge from people in some very high positions already very early on, that if we had have got that proper information and properly articulated and reported on, rather than just kind of repeating and regurgitating CCP talking points, then, like I say, how this unfolded, how this current situation, how the current environment, how the economy, all these things would still be, in play, and who knows how bad things could have really gotten. Nobody can know, like, it's all pure speculation. There's no way anyone could possibly know now, but once again, we do know that failures already took place and people need to be held accountable for those failures. He also denounced recent reprehensible comments by Health Minister Patty Hajdu, who dismissed claims about faulty Chinese reporting as conspiracy theories that originated on the internet. So once again, every time they don't want people to start thinking or talking critically about any of these issues, is they use the conspiracy theorist claim. Now, like I said, I've said in past streams, there are such things as conspiracy theories. But when you're talking about stuff like this, and the fact that, now it's being reported that this wasn't conspiracy theory. This was based on truth and facts that people like have had knowledge on at the time. So the fact that, every time you challenge some media mouthpiece or a political leader in some country, every time you challenge that, and that's the whole point. That's the thing with the media. The media is there to be differential or to hold those in power to account, right? They're supposed to be, the media is literally there to push back against big government, because we all know that people in positions of power, authority, have incentive to lie and deceive people, and they have done so throughout basically all of history, right? So come on, we know this stuff. The whole point of having a press and a free press is to not be beholden to government, to be their political propagandists. It's to be there to hold politicians to account, to be adversarial. But once again, now you have like the media class in this country, and a lot of them are bought and paid for by the Trudeau Liberals, seem to be more than willing to parrot the talking points of the Trudeau Liberals, which once again is a failure in this country in not just in terms of political leadership, but the media as well. Mulroney said the recent silence by Ottawa is part of a long-standing instinct to gloss over Chinese aggressions, largely due to its tendency to retaliate and its growing economic heft. But an unwillingness to acknowledge even the possibility of Chinese misdeeds could sow public distrust. So that's lack of leadership, and that's lack of courage. That's the thing. Trudeau's a wimp, man. He's scared to, and he likes that dictatorship. And listen, we got the wrong people. First of all, you don't need rulers in the first place, but the people that are claiming to be your rulers or your leaders, although I wouldn't even use the term leader, to be honest with you, ruler more or less. But I mean, such failures, right? I mean, if you had someone with any courage, they'd be more than willing to hold China to account and definitely not go along or play along with this kind of nonsense, which once again, think about the consequence and the ramifications and the effects that's happened or taken place because of this kind of cowardice, right? Ottawa can't seem to shake this tendency to flatter, he said in an interview with the National Post. I'm not suggesting that we need to insult China or provoke a quarrel. We should simply be guided by the facts. And right now, the facts argue for the case that China was delinquent, that it wasn't transparent enough. That's not a conspiracy theory. When you start acknowledging the truth, then positive and corrective action is possible. As long as you're in denial, there's no hope of action that will ameliorate the situation. This is a tremendous missed opportunity, and it's not too late for the government to slowly turn the ship around, Mulroney said. So anyways, like I say, I'll place all these articles will definitely be in the description of this stream below. Some of them already are, and I'm going to add the rest of them later because I wasn't sure how many I was going to get to. Oh, looks like the stream is starting to get crappy here. Okay, let me close up this YouTube one then, because it looks like the stream is not so great. I see there's only, 23 people still watching. So, like I say, I'm going to try to tie this up probably fairly shortly. Was there anything else? Oh, okay, let me do this one more because I do have a little bit of time. So let me get this one in. Because like I say, every day it seems like there's so many things to cover. Might as well get as many of these in as possible. And I know there was a couple peeps in the chat yesterday that were talking about this, and I had covered another article referenced this, but this one here is another follow-up article from the Toronto Sun by Fury, a great contributor to the Sun. It pushes back against the leftist narrative, at least. But as you can see, so Fury, Feds planning laws against COVID-19 misinformation is ultimate irony, right? This was reported by Anthony Fury, April 15th, 2020. After flip-flopping on basic information about COVID-19 and expecting to be cut some slack for it, the federal government is now proposing legislation that might punish any Canadian for doing just what they first did. Liberal Minister Dominic LeBlanc, so that was whoever was actually in the chat earlier on, I forget that, and you mentioned this, so we're covering it now, told CBC News that he's already been in discussion with cabinet members, including Justice David Lamenti, to bring in some form of legislation to tackle online misinformation regarding COVID-19. Legislatures and parliaments are meeting scarcely because of the current context of the pandemic, so it's not a quick solution, but it's certainly something that we would be open to as a government, LeBlanc told CBC News. It's hard to believe that out of all the COVID-19 related problems the feds are dealing with, this would warrant a spot on the agenda anywhere near the top, One has to wonder why it even entered into their minds at all, because they're control freaks. They understand, just like within China, you have to control the narrative. And Trudeau's already said that he's a big fan of communist China and the basic dictatorship. And under any kind of basic dictatorship, is control of information is vital and key. It's a key component, right? To quash dissent, to silence any oppositional voices. That is what it is to be an authoritarian collectivist, or part of an authoritarian collectivist regime. So basically all this is Trudeau is following through with, and when he said, you're not going to recognize Canada when he's down there, he's following through with his threats, and his mindless lackeys are following through with him, because they obviously are all aligned with the same ideology. They're all big fans of authoritarian collectivism, obviously, because they're all willing to go along. They're all willing to follow in orders. This LeBlanc is more than willing to basically try to shut down or silence any voices that steps outside of what the Trudeau Liberals deems allowable or the proper information, right? Bunch of Orwellian dipshits. This is not a question of freedom of speech. Oh, yeah, and that Charlie Angus. Eat shit, Charlie. This is not a question of freedom of speech, NDP MP Charlie Angus told CBC News. This is a question. God, I would love to be able to speak to these people in person, because then they'd have to look me in the eye. Like, it's easy to stand there in front of a bunch of dipshit reporters that aren't going to challenge them and just take whatever answer they get and just move on, right? I'd love for one of these dipshits to be able to have to sit and look me in the eye, actually face to face even, and just look me in the eye and try to spew this. They wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't be able to do it. I'd love to see it. Because like I say, then you would find out how powerful the truth is. Not that I am so powerful, but someone that knows the truth, is willing to defend the truth, and can explain the truth. I'd love to. Like, that's the thing. These politicians, these liars, these professional liars for a living, that's where, like, yeah, that's where they're failures. They fail tremendously. They're good in that environment. They're good at being professional liars, but the minute someone brings any truth to the table or tries to counter them, and in a competent manner, that's how you find out just how big of failures these people are, right? And I want these people at some point in time to have that on public. I'd love to see a public display of just how much of a failure these people like Trudeau or this Charlie Angus or any of these other lackeys in government, right? I'd love to be able to put that on display. This is a question of people who are actually actively working to spread disinformation, whether it's through troll bot farms, whether it's state operators, or whether it's really conspiracy theorist cranks who seem to get their kicks out of creating havoc, right? I mean, not that I've even acknowledged myself, there are some fucking conspiracy theorist cranks who really do seem to get their kicks out of. So that is a reality, but you can't use that as a blanket statement as a means to suppress anyone's voice. Because the way I would look at it is, yes, there's going to be conspiracy theorists and cranks. That's going to be a reality. But you know what? If they're conspiracy theorists or cranks, only the dumbest of the dumb fucking people are going to pay attention to them. And you know what? Like, that's as long as, and they can believe whatever stupid shit they want, as long as they're not doing anything to cause harm to anyone. What? People are not allowed to have wrong think? Is it now illegal to think wrongly? Like, think about how fucked that is. You should be able to be as wrong as humanly possible. If you want to believe in the most ridiculous conspiracies on the planet, right? Flat earthers. No, but if you want, you should be allowed to do so. Nobody should be able to tell you you are not allowed to do so. If they have the proper information, well, the proper information, if it's truthful, well, that's, like I say, truth counters misinformation. But people that want to suppress any information or information that is counter to their own, obviously they don't feel they have the truth because they're not confident enough to stand and defend it and realize that it would be much more effectual than trying to silence or suppress anyone else. But see, that's why you know that either these people are as dumb as fuck, or they know exactly what they're doing, and they're doing it purposely to try to silence and suppress other people, and they use these terminologies to make sure everyone else around you keep you shut up as well, because they don't have enough enforcers to keep you there shut up. But if they get your neighbors or your friends or your coworkers or your family members to all think that you're a crank or a conspiracy theorist, well, they'll just rely on them shutting you up for them, right? Anyways, once again, I'll place a link to this one in the description of the stream as well. So like I say, I think that's quite well enough, right? What do you think? I think we've, yeah. The next bunch of stuff is actually, because I'm trying to stick with the heading, like the name, the caption, like the headline of this, or not headline, I guess, but the description yeah, I guess you could call it headline of this stream. But the other stuff I was going to cover is getting into a different aspect of it. So yeah, I think I'm going to tie that up today in terms of the articles that I'll be referencing, and I'll save the rest for another stream. And like I say, if I get the stream tied up quick enough, hopefully StreamYards will give me one more round at it before I have to pony up the cash, which I will. Like I say, I don't have the cash on me at this particular moment. But I definitely plan on doing so I can continue to use StreamYards because, like I say, I just prefer being able to use the online or the where I can show all these articles, where I can interact with you guys much more seamlessly. The chat works better. I can put your comments on the screen. I just prefer to use StreamYards. So let's just see what a few peeps are saying in the chat. Gonna do my best, says Tommy Guns. Charlie Communist Angus, God damn, these people are, yeah, it's very infuriating, like I say, because they're basically, they basically just want to be able to control like the narrative and the rhetoric. And to me, it's like, well, then you obviously don't feel you're in a very good position if you feel you have to control the narrative, right? I don't feel like I have to control shit. I just have to offer information that makes sense, that's clear and concise, right? And consistent in some way. That's all. So the people that want to silence other people, like me, I go the opposite way. I want to bring on anybody. That's why I say. And matter of fact, the crazier the conspiracy, the better. Is in terms of I want to show how more credible I am than a nut bar. I mean, what better way to do so than bring a nut bar onto the show and say, "Oh, look at it." I don't even have to say nothing. Don't even have to say how crazy this conspiracy theory is. Hey, look, you can see just by the tinfoil hat. No, but like, come on. So the fact that these idiots in politics and the media want to silence or suppress people they consider conspiracy theorists or cranks are like, so what? You're scared of conspiracy theorists or cranks? Are you really? Like I say, then you should be looking in the mirror. If you can't counteract conspiracy theorists or cranks and be competent at do so, you're failing big time, right? That's just the way I look at it, folks. Dominic LeBlanc and Lament, or whatever the hell, yeah, are the crooked as a piece of rebar I ripped out of concrete. Right on. Speaking of rebar and concrete, there's a senior home in Fredericton when I was driving for a concrete asphalt mixer truck. I drove mixed truck there for a while. And yeah, we poured the obviously the foundation, the footings, and then everything for the big senior complex that they built there. It was like, holy, it was what is it, one and a quarter? I believe it was 1 inch or 1 1/4 rebar. If you've seen how thick, not just the thickness, but how much rebar is, like, hey, did somebody here connected with that? Because, I think it was a government contract too, because it was a big senior complex, but it was like, okay, somebody owns a rebar business around here, right? And they're making out like bandits. I remember thinking at times, like, that is way overkill. Like this, if there's nothing left standing in Fredericton, that senior complex will still be there. Everything else can be leveled to the ground. That's anyways. So, but yeah, going a little bit on a different thing. Anyway, so 1:27. Look at that, folks. We got it done up here, and I'm pretty much to the hour and a half. So I'm going to tie it up here. What's up, folks? Had to re-enable the notifications again. Thanks, GovCo, for Shadowman Bennett for my protection. Well, sorry about that verbal armament, but thank you for going ahead and doing that. Because, yeah, that's great. Now you'll be able to get the notifications, especially if you make sure you're getting all. But like I've said to many other people, even if you just check, like, let's say you missed my stream from yesterday, the day before, you didn't get notified or whatever, just come to my channel, Canadian Libertarian. Like YouTube, just type in Canadian Libertarians. First thing you're going to see come up, just go to my channel. Go from the home page to the actual, like, the video section. Then you'll see the uploads, there's the streams, there's the playlist. You'll see all the sections that I've got there. So you can stay on top of my videos, even if you're not getting notifications. All you have to do is just go to my page. And like I say, even if you don't want to listen to the whole thing in its entirety, even if you're playing it in the background and you're, doing things with friends and you're just letting it play in the background, I don't care. But at the very least, I'm getting the registered view. I'm getting, if you hit a like, I'm getting the like. And if you share it to one of your social media pages, it's showing that it's being shared around. Every little bit that you can help me, like I say, especially for the people that have no money to help support the channel anyway, if you can just do all those tiny little things. Because like I say, I do that myself for all the people when I share their information or their videos. I always like, I'm always subscribed to wherever these pages are, or the new ones come out. I subscribe to them, which is why I'm subscribed to like what 700, almost 800 channels now and stuff. And I don't go back and unsubscribe because I'm sure there might be some, but I just don't want to screw people over by, because I recognize that when you mess with people's analytics, the algorithm reflects that. And not that YouTube is purposely manipulating it against me. I don't suggest for 1 minute that YouTube is coming after me, but because the algorithm, right? If the click-through rate, people don't watch the video, or if they only watch 10 seconds of, the algorithm's telling them that people just aren't interested in it. So less notifications, less put in the recommended section. So at the end of the day, folks, listen, this is where the personal responsibility comes into play once again, is I really do require your help and assistance to help me grow my voice, my message, and my channel in a way so that we can counteract, because we're still, like I say, I'm still a very, very tiny voice out there in that big old landscape of media. I mean, because, you know, we're inundated with media sources all over the place, all day, every day. So anything that you can do and help me to spread my information around and get my voice a little bit more prominent, like I say, I really, really will appreciate, and thank you very much. So anyways, like I say, folks, sorry if I missed a few people in the chat, but I'm going to tie it up because, like I say, I want to be able to get another one done. 5 deaths in Manitoba precinct. Anyways, like I say, I could go back and try to look at the comments, but like I say, I'm already at 1:30. So let me tie this up. We'll see you folks in the next stream. What's today? Friday. My video will either be coming up Saturday or Sunday. So whatever day I have my video uploaded on, it will come out one of the days this weekend. It will be Saturday or Sunday. But I definitely won't do a stream that day because I don't want to have a video and a stream, because then the views probably get split and I get even less views overall. So it will be, like I say, come out this weekend. My next stream will either be the opposite day. If it comes out on Sunday, I might stream again tomorrow. If not, my next stream will be Monday. But either way, I'll definitely be on top of things, streaming, staying on top of paying attention to the Wuhan story. And there's other lots of breaking news that's happening too. And not just the Wuhan story, but the coronavirus, COVID-19. But there's still other news that I got to stay on top on as well, and keep everyone up to date and informed into some of the, obviously, the economics of things. And of course, when you're talking about freedom of speech and everything else that's related to liberty, because hey, after all, I am the Canadian Libertarian. So everyone have yourself a great day. It does seem like it's a pretty sunny day. It looks like it's a pretty mild day for most of the country. So enjoy it. And, be careful out there. But hey, if you have to get out and get a little sunshine, a little vitamin D or C or whatever vitamins you need, right? Or just get a little fresh air, right? Do your thing. Just make sure you are practicing, some safety precautions, some social distancing. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy having some time with friends. Just be personally responsible. Don't give any of these dipshit mindless order followers any excuse to mess with you like they have been doing so far. And, we're going to make out through this better than some. So take it easy. Everyone have a great day. And we'll see you in the next stream. It's Canadian Libertarian. I love liberty.